So tell me a little bit about the demo you got to see then.
Yeah, it was, I want to say, somewhere in the 45 minute range. Kind of started off with a quick little intro, playing as Yasuke riding a horse into a village. Everyone's kind of giving him either deference or walking away with fear. They were kind of using it as a way to like really showcase this dude's an outsider because he's just so much larger and more imposing than everyone around him, even the other samurai. And they got to showcase a little bit more of what it's like to just be this huge bruiser with like a katana in hand, these giant clubs. He's even got a gun. Like, so he was just blasting fools at one point, and that was pretty cool. But after that, it got to a point where they basically played the same mission 3 times over, where Yasuke and his ally now, the shinobi, they're looking at this castle with evil, like, city official, like, locked away.
Yeah.
Like, we gotta kill him. Should we go in guns blazing or, like, really stealthy? And so got to see first as Naoe go in under the cover of darkness during a rainstorm, being really stealthy, going prone, and like going through the reeds, using the bamboo shoot to like breathe while underwater, doing the Splinter Cell move of like latching onto the ceiling. Yeah, like that was cool. Really cool.
That's cool.
Like, I love this a lot. Then they showed the Yasuke going through, and he was like, I'm just gonna like shoulder bash through doors and just melee everyone and just take out this rifle and just start blasting everyone in view. And that I wasn't as down with, but I'm like, they've done Odyssey and Valhalla now. They now have to like still appeal to this demographic.
Right. So is that kind of like the whole premise is like, you can pick which one you want to play at any time?
Yeah, they said that there are certain missions where it's like exclusively one or the other, where it's like, oh, this is kind of tied to their personal story. Yeah, so like you have to play as them. But for the most part, there's a bunch of missions where it's like you can choose to play as one or the other.
Interesting.
And when they did Yasuke, instead of it being like night and raining, it was instead like very sunny, and so he couldn't stealth very easily. What was really interesting was then they did it a third time, and they played as Now again, and they're like, oh, we're gonna show you what it's like if she goes in earlier during the daytime and she chooses to not be as stealthy. So instead of using a grappling hook to swing or like stabbing people through the sheets and like army crawling through the reed, she was actually like taking out her katana and like fighting people using throwing knives, being a little bit more in your face. But you could hear the storm from like the nighttime part like beginning to come in, and partway through the level, Ubisoft was like, okay, now the rain has picked up enough. Now there's enough like thunder in the distance that if we wanted to go stealth, we could, because now her footsteps are masked from enemy players. And like, this is going to be a weather and season system that we're going to input, where like the game will go from like spring to summer to fall to winter, depending on the time of year as well as the time of day. Different missions can be approached different ways. Like one time a lake might be completely frozen over, but if you did that mission during the springtime, then it is like now a stealth opportunity to go through. So like that's really cool. I'm curious to see what that looks like.
Yeah, has Assassin's Creed ever done anything like that before? Like,
nothing like that. Like they've done like seasons where like time has passed in the game, but it hasn't like changed the dynamic of a level.
Wow, that's actually really that's sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it legitimately sounds cool. So obviously like they're still trying to, it sounds like they're trying to maybe appeal to both modern and older Assassin's Creed fans. You got your stealth character, and then you got your kind of more like action brawler focus.
Your brute.
I would say like overall, did you get a sense for like how is the structure changed based on more recent Assassin's Creed games, like your Valhallas and your Origins, if at all?
Yeah. I didn't get to see too much of how the like exact structure could change, but there are like small little snippets. Like there were moments where like going into the fortress to like kill the official, like you ahead of time, it was one of those things where they didn't know exactly where it was, but both characters mentioned that they had like recruited certain people who could be sent in to like map the area, and they pulled back and they showed the map UI, and it's like, oh, you've like recruited enough people that they can like infiltrate this fortress for you and kind of pinpoint like, oh, this is where the person is exactly. So it kind of seems like they're bringing back a little bit of that Brotherhood Revelations, where like you found people in the world that you could like recruit to
if I can whistle and a guy jumps out of a hay barrel and stabs a dude.
Oh my god,
like
I didn't see that, but yes, if they bring that back in like some way,
I'll play this game. I'll absolutely play this game if they bring that back.
But yeah.
So it's in Japan, obviously. You can play as Yasuke. They have a samurai sword.
Yep.
Obviously, we've had a lot of really good samurai games recently, you know?
Yeah.
Your Ghost of Tsushima's, your Sekiro's. Do you feel like they maybe like evolved the combat at all to try and sort of like fulfill that samurai fantasy, you know?
Yeah,
or is it
like the way that he was fighting was like, oh, this is kind of, you took how Cassandra and Odyssey and Eivor and Valhalla, they fought, and you kind of added like a little side helping of Ghost of Tsushima
a little flirt,
to it. Like, yeah, a little bit of like trying to break the guard, and like depending on how you attack someone, you can knock off certain pieces of armor to like have certain moves be more effective. So it wasn't exactly the same. It's not like a one-to-one. If you really like Ghost of Tsushima, do not jump into this expecting to get that same combat experience. But it's one of those where I was looking at it and I'm like, I think they've seen what's worked in other games, and they're like, why wouldn't we use that?
What can we take from that and apply it to what is otherwise probably a very familiar combat formula that Assassin's Creed has had for a while?
Yeah, because it still digs into that Odyssey Valhalla thing of like there are special abilities that each character has. Like I got to see Yasuke do a move where he like leaps into the air and like slams into the ground and creates like this kind of booming shockwave to like knock people back. And then Now had this like move where she like did a backflip over someone and like did that like Black Widow thing like with the legs where you like snap like someone's neck and like bounced off of it to then attack someone else. So like those kind of, it's still that thing where it's like, oh, you're basically just kind of attacking and blocking and parrying and waiting for your special abilities to charge to like kill people in a really cool way. Like that's still Assassin's Creed's bread and butter. They are not shifting away from that.
Yeah, so I mean, I used to love Assassin's Creed. I gotta be honest, Valhalla really didn't do it for me. I liked Odyssey, but I couldn't finish it. It's just too long of a game. Obviously, this is a preview, so I'm sure you have like no sense for the scope and scale. But I think the biggest thing I'm curious about is just like how much of that bloat that Valhalla got criticized for is going to be in this game, but like we don't know.
Yeah,
sure. But I guess fundamentally, do you feel like this is a huge step for Assassin's Creed, or is it more of the same but with some like new additions and twists? You know.
I'll do a little bit of a half answer. I did not.
That's fair.
Yeah,
that's
I did
fair.
not.
That's a loaded thing to ask.
Yeah, I did not see anything at this preview that would convince me that playing this game is a completely different experience from what we've recently got with Valhalla and Odyssey and even Origins. That said, there could be some radical change and stuff like that there. I just did not see anything that would convince me to be like, oh, you didn't like Odyssey and Valhalla? You'll definitely like Shadows. It's totally different. It's like, I think whatever your opinion has been on the past few Assassin's Creed games, it's probably going to hold true for Shadows as well.
Because, like in the way that like Origins like completely, changed up the formula in a significant way, this is more, we're sticking with that formula still.
Yeah, I think so. Like now, kind of, I was joking with some people. I'm like, oh, I wonder if they've talked to like any Splinter Cell folks, because the way that she moves through the grass and jumps up onto the ceiling, and they now have a more dynamic light source where you can like use throwing knives to like extinguish lights and things like that. I'm like, I wonder if they talked to anyone like on the Splinter Cell team for like pointers, because the animations look very similar. Because I have no proof.
See that? That excites me. Like I definitely am like, I'm probably gonna play her.
Yeah. Now I'm so excited for Yasuke is where I'm like, I don't know if I'm super excited to play as him, but we'll see. We'll see.
Well, sounds like overall pretty positive on it.
Hell yeah. All right. Another Assassin's Creed for me.
Another Assassin's Creed for Jordan. Sounds like if you liked Assassin's Creed, It's probably going to be another good one. And
Yeah.
if you're on the fence about Assassin's Creed like me, well, we'll just have to wait and see, I guess. Well, thank you everyone for watching. We have all sorts of stuff here at Summer Game Fest, so stay tuned to GameSpot.